Hi, this is Brian Zipsey from Horse Racing Nation. I have the pleasure of being with my partner, Matt Schiffman, today, live and in color. Yesterday, Matt, we were at Turfway Park for the Spiral Stakes. We saw Dubai Sky win big there. And today we drove down to the beautiful downtown offices, downtown Louisville, here at Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. What do you think of the offices, Matt?
I love the offices in Louisville, and it's been a great weekend. I flew down from New Jersey to have a Horse Racing Nation weekend in Turfway Park, my first visit to Turfway Park. So wouldn't rather do it with anybody else but the Horse Racing Nation team.
It was a good day, and now we're here in Louisville, and we want to do another Kentucky Derby edition of HorseCenter. We have a lot to talk about. Since we've been away a little over a week, Matt, so we didn't get a chance to talk about American Pharoah's big win, sloppy track at Oaklawn Park for the Rebel Stakes. Did he become your #1 Derby contender, seeing the two-year-old champion come back with that performance?
He literally became my #1 contender. I put him on top of my vote in the NTRA pool. I thought he did everything he needed to do coming back from the layoff, and did it convincingly.
He's not my #1 yet. It was an impressive race for sure. I wonder if that race was a little light as far as the competition, and it was a sloppy track where he ran a slow pace early. I still have some questions about the breeding on the female side of his pedigree. It's a little sprinty for me, but maybe if there's one horse that's really going to make a big run this year and become a super 3-year-old, he might be the most likely. So that was a big win. We also should talk about what happened yesterday in Turfway Park. I think Dubai Sky, who had never before run on anything but turf, yesterday he got the poly track at Turfway Park, and he won by 2 1/4 lengths, I guess. But the performance was actually better than that, wasn't it, Matt?
It was a visually impressive performance. This is a horse who's really done everything right in his career. One time didn't win. That was his first start in a maiden race. But since then, he's rattled off wins in all of his races. Had been on the turf first time on a different surface. And going into it, he was one of those horses that I thought could do something good if he took to the track. And he certainly did. And he won easily. He dragged his jockey around the track. And it was a full field and a strong field with Royal Sun and Metaboss, the 2 favorites, and he dispatched them.
Yeah, I think the competition's going to get tougher for him. He's still no decision. He's a Bill Mott trainee. A few interesting things, I think, was yesterday was first-time Lasix for him. He, as Matt mentioned, he came from the 12 hole, so he had to show some tactical speed to get to the first turn in good position. And yeah, he made life easy on Lascano. Lascano, it was just a push-button ride, and he probably could have won by more than 2 1/4. This is a full brother to Twirling Candy, who was a Grade 1 winner a few years ago. So he's got the breeding. Of course, he's still never been on dirt, so that's a question. And if the Derby is indeed his route, that probably would be his next start, making the Kentucky Derby his first try on dirt.
Right, and it certainly is not unprecedented that horses go from their first run and winning on the poly track at Turfway Park to making an impressive showing in the Derby. So,
Animal Kingdom did it, didn't he?
He certainly did.
Yeah. We both like Dubai Sky. He's probably a better horse than most people still have him on their list as maybe a top 10 or top 12 contender. But talent-wise, he's probably a top 5 contender in my eyes after yesterday. So we talked about American Pharoah, we talked about Dubai Sky. We're taping this Sunday morning, of course, down here in Louisville. Today we have the Sunland Derby, the $800,000 Sunland Derby out at Sunland Park, and it looks like we're going to have a real big favorite today, Matt.
Yeah, Firing Line has got to be an absolute huge favorite in that race, and he should be. And he should romp in that race, and if he does anything besides that, then I'm gonna have some concerns and questions about Firing Line. I need to see Firing Line put up a 5-length win in this race for me to seriously consider the horse.
Yeah, fair enough. California horses generally typically have done well when they get down to Sunland Park, and of course, Firing Line. We know he's got the class. He in both of his last 2 races, he gave Dortmund everything Dortmund wanted. They came down to the wire together. Both times Dortmund got the win, of course, but Firing Line ran big. He's really well liked by Simon Callahan, his trainer, for months now, and yeah, I think he's kind of the real deal. I don't know if he's necessarily a 10 furlong horse yet, and he doesn't have to be today, but I agree with you. I think he probably stands over that field a little bit and should be very tough in today's Sunland Derby. We transition from Sunday's races, the Sunland Derby, into a big weekend of racing. And of course, there's the whole Dubai extravaganza next Saturday, Saturday the 28th, with the World Cup, California Chrome and Leah, main sequence running on the turf there. But let's stick with the Kentucky Derby stuff. We have the Florida Derby at Gulfstream. We have the Louisiana Derby at Fairgrounds. I think our producer, by the way, Ember Marr, the infamous Ember Marr, will be on location in New Orleans. I hope she gets off of Bourbon Street and actually goes to Fairgrounds to see the big race. But any thoughts so far about the prospective field for the Louisiana Derby?
I have been a big fan of International Star, so I'm looking forward to seeing that horse run again. I love his running style. I think he's really got potential to do things in the Derby, so I'm looking forward to that. As a matter of fact, yesterday at the Spiral, I was watching the Spiral on a TV with the whole Ramsey clan, except for Mom and Dad, who didn't make the trip and stayed in Florida. But one of the sons said, "Oh no, they're resting up for the big trip to Louisiana for the Derby because they're excited about their International Star."
Yeah, and they should be. International Star is a well-bred horse. He's won several stakes, including the last 2 at Fairgrounds. He won the LeCompte. He won the Risen Star. And both times he beat a horse that I really love. It's kind of strange to say this, but I actually have a horse in there who he's beaten twice in a row who I actually like better. It's the Luch Stables runner, War Story. Son of Northern Fleet. He's had questionable trips in both of those races. He was beaten not by a lot in both of those races by International Star. Didn't get off to a good start, wide the whole way. Both races, I certainly thought he had more trouble than he actually lost by. So I'm looking for War Story. He's a little bit more inexperienced than International Star as well. So he won a couple races early in his career. He won at Churchill, as a matter of fact. And he'll get his 3rd crack at International Star. And I'm going to look for War Story to finally turn the tables in the Louisiana Derby.
It's time. It's time for War Story to have a race without a bad trip, and then we'll get an answer to the question of how much the horse can do, and whether he's one of those kind of horses that makes his own trouble. Hopefully, it's not that, and we're gonna have a great race.
Yeah, in his 3rd and 4th race, he was still breaking a little slow, so hopefully he's moved past it. You're right. It's put up or shut up time, I think, for War Story. But I think both of those horses are legitimate Derby contenders, and they're in the top 6 or 7 in my list. War Story even higher for me. I think International Star even
a little higher for me.
So we'll have a little head going against each other.
Always good.
Always good. Always fun. We agree on a lot, though. Florida Derby. You also have a budding rivalry now. There was a technical knockout, a TKO in the Fountain of Youth. What do you think about those 2 horses? I guess we're talking about Upstart, and it's a knockout.
I'm expecting a huge performance from Upstart in the Florida Derby. I think it's fairly well known that he wasn't completely cranked up in the Fountain of Youth, and still got to the finish line first. And I think he's been training forwardly to have a full 100% effort in the Florida Derby, and I'm looking for an impressive performance from Upstart, who is very high on my list.
Upstart is a very nice New York bred son of Flatter. He's run nothing but good races. Violet, he mentioned before the Fountain Youth that he did not have him cranked up fully 100% for that race. On the other hand, It's a Knockout is lightly raced, and he ran a very good race. He certainly was bothered. First Upstart was pushed out by another horse on the rail, and then Upstart came out again on him. So It's a Knockout didn't have a fair try to try to run by him on the outside in the Fountain Youth. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make some progress forward and improve. He's a son of Lemon Drop Kid, so he certainly should be able to handle the distances as they get longer. So that's an interesting rematch. I'm kind of with you. I think that Upstart deserves to be the horse to beat in the Florida Derby. But if those are the top two contenders, I think it's an interesting rivalry there as well. So we talked about the Florida Derby, the Louisiana Derby, firing line, tough to beat today in the Sunland Derby. We both like Dubai Sky. American Pharaoh, of course, is one of the more interesting 3-year-olds in the country. We still have a lot to look forward to, even bigger preps coming in the coming weeks. So make sure you come back with Matt and I here on HorseCenter, the Kentucky Derby editions. We're brought to you by Horse Racing Nation and Derby Wars. Thanks, Matt. Thanks for being in Louisville with me.
It was a terrific weekend. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah, my pleasure. See you next time.